dude. It's ugly boy dude. It's ugly boy dude. It's ugly boy dude. It's ugly boy dude.
Oh, money. Hey, man, I really appreciate you coming out to do this interview. So just for the people, for the record, what is your name?
So my name is Omari Jones, but Mark like to call me Old Money.
Exactly. Man, so where you from?
So I'm from a town called Kennedale, Texas, which is, you don't know, it's about 20 minutes away from Dallas.
Okay, so obviously I've never been there before. Never heard of that place before in my life. A lot of my viewers are from Texas, but for the people who aren't, what are some pros and cons about Texas?
So Texas, I guess some pros would be, if you want to look at it, from a moving in kind of point, real estate is nice and cheap. We don't have a tax, but as me, someone young, there's a lot to do in Texas. So whether you go to Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, they've got just about everything you need. And it also helps that the girls are real pretty out there too.
Okay, so a lot of people watch my channel is just for the military side. The reason why I do share my experiences is because it was hard for me to gain information. You are a part of my military experience because without the military, I would not be here. A lot of people don't know you helped me out in major ways, but we'll get to that. But for right now, what is your major?
So my major is chemical engineering, and then I'm minoring in material science engineering.
Why?
So I chose chemical engineering really because it plays to my strengths. So back in high school and before, I always kind of knew I wanted to go down the engineering path. My dad's an engineer, it just seemed like the way to go. And the next question was just, okay, well, what kind of engineering? There's electrical, there's mechanical. So I'm pretty good at math, pretty good in chemistry. I enjoy them both. So I was like, let me take that chemical engineering route.
Okay, so what I heard some key things in there. A lot of my viewers, we might not had a fresh start in life, right? So your parents they have at least a college degree and everything, and you were able to fall down that path. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so both of my parents did get a bachelor's degree.
Nice, okay, so good for you, man. So what is your motivation to keep going each and every day?
So my motivation, there's a couple of them, but my number one is just a standard that I've set for myself. So from a young age, and it was kind of drilled into me when I was a little kid too, is just to hold yourself to a certain standard. And my standard, I guess you could say, is kind of high. If we're looking at it academically, it's A's and maybe 1 or 2 B's in there. But just keeping myself to that standard just kind of helps push me every day. But other than that, I have friends, and I want my friends to, I want to succeed like they succeed. So because my friends are going pretty high places, I also need to make sure that I can keep up with them. So that's another driving factor. And I also like to, if you don't know, I'm a tutor. So I like to help those who need that help and who put in that work. And as a tutor, if I don't completely understand a subject, it's kind of hard for me to go and teach it to somebody else. So that's another way that just keeps me motivated.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. A lot of us really don't believe in the company you keep, right? But it's true. If you don't believe in you watching these videos, like he said, it really does play a part by seeing other people doing high things. It motivates you to keep going higher and higher yourself. Man, that's very awesome. So you're here at Tuskegee. What is your classification?
So I'm currently a senior, but I'm not quite graduating yet. So I have 1 more year left.
Okay, and is that because you chose your minor? Because a lot of people don't know about school, right? Mm-hmm. So how is that having a major and a minor and correlating to you graduating when you do?
So it depends on which minor you're picking up and the classes for your major. So with my minor, I didn't actually take any of those classes with my major, but they were simple enough classes. It only takes 3 semesters to complete my minor, but that's not why I'm graduating late. So after my freshman year, I took a co-op, and if you don't know, that's just working for a company for 3 terms. So I worked 2 summers and then a fall semester. And because I wasn't at this school for the fall semester, due to the prereqs for my major, I have to extend it by a year just so I can take all my classes.
But why would you do that? Why would you go, essentially take a break from school? Why would you do that?
So for me, it was the industry experience. So I got to work with the Dow Chemical Company, and I got to work in 3 different locations. I got to gain a bunch of experience. It makes my resume look good, but also it teaches me the skills that are going to be more beneficial in that industry that you don't necessarily learn in school. So it was a gamble. It was, do I want to do an extra year and, slow down my graduation, or do I want to pass up on this opportunity, just get a summer internship like usual and be on track? And I just chose to go ahead and work with that company. It took a while. It was a big debate, but I don't regret it. What I learned there at Dow was, I think, more than makes up for the year I'm spending here at Tuskegee.
And that makes perfect sense because a lot of us feel that it's going to be one or the other, right? I have to go to work or I have to go to school and stick with this plan. You're still in your early 20s, not putting your business out there, but a lot of people don't make those tough decisions. They listen to somebody else make those decisions for them. And I'm sure you got your mentors, and we'll talk about them as well. But you did mention you're a senior here at Tuskegee University. What are some pros and cons about Tuskegee University?
So I'm gonna start with a couple cons, because there's not that many, but one is there's not much to do outside of the college life here at Tuskegee. So if you're trying to go out to an activity, you're trying to go bowling, skating, Tuskegee itself doesn't really have that. You have to go about 20, 30 minutes to Auburn or Opelika. But other than that, there's a lot of pros to coming to Tuskegee. For me, I grew up in, I guess, in an area where everybody didn't necessarily look like me. So coming to Tuskegee was just a way for me to embrace my culture. So that was one big pro here. And also, it's just, we're one big happy family. So being able to just go to just any random person, start a conversation, make new friends, it's a huge plus. And it goes to help to building your network and then just making bonds that'll carry you throughout the rest of your life.
Wow. And so the cons, let's start off with the cons. A lot of people have the same cons about the city of Tuskegee. So if anybody is a part of the city of Tuskegee and you're watching these videos, we want a bowling alley, a skating rink, we want a Waffle House, we want a medical center, a trauma center. The reason why I say those different things is because Tuskegee could be so great, but the students here feel like we're lacking compared to Auburn or Montgomery. So the city of Tuskegee, please do something about that. But we're going back into the pros. So the pros of Tuskegee, like I started to feel the family experience when I first got here. And I met you. I met Omari and other tutors who literally took me under their wing and taught me. So I do appreciate you, Omari, and the work that you do here. So my next question for you is, when you were a freshman, did you feel like you had the opportunities to be involved in things at Tuskegee?
As a freshman, I definitely had the opportunities. So it's a little different now with COVID, but back my freshman year, right before COVID, there was the Freshman Step Show. You can join all the different organizations. A lot of them were more active on campus too. So like I had joined the Freshman Step Show. I was a part of the National Society of Black Engineers, or Nsbe for the engineers. I was a part of the Texas Club. And there was just a bunch of activities and things that they would do on campus and around campus. Now, that being said, a lot of freshmen come from different places around the country, so you don't necessarily have that friend group. So you do have to get out your comfort zone to go and explore the opportunities that are given to you. But when you do, you do realize there's a vast of things for you to do, and they're all pretty fun.
Okay, so like anybody else that does a lot of interviews, as somebody as such as yourself, you throw out a whole bunch of acronyms and run past them. So you mentioned something called Nsbe, and you also mentioned what it stood for, but we're going to stay on this topic a little bit because I know you're very knowledgeable about it. So what is Nsbe real slowly, and also what does it mean to you, and what do you do in it?
Okay, so Nsbe is the National Society of Black Engineers. So what it means to me is really our chapter here at Tuskegee. It's a way to bond with upper and underclassmen. So the underclassmen who need help in classes and courses, it's a great way for you to meet those seniors, those juniors in your same classes who kind of know that information. It's also a great way to get internship opportunities. So I had mentioned earlier that I got a call with Dow Chemical. I got that through Nsbe. So I attended their national convention, and from there I was able to get an opportunity to work in the industry. So I'm learning more than just the theoretical. Nsbe is also another great place to just build up those friendships. So it can be hard for some people to just go out and talk to people, but it's a little bit easier when you're in a group setting of those who are similar to you. So in Nsbe, almost everybody's an engineer. So when we do bowling nights, when we do different activities and events, you can kind of see the same people and you get more and more comfortable with them. And that's another opportunity it gives. And additionally, scholarship. So like I said, because Nsbe deals a lot with corporations, they also are ready to give internships and scholarships to our students. So if you're ever lacking in financial need, or even if you got enough, but you feel like, okay, well, I want to get this scholarship to help lead me to work for this company. That's another great way that Nsbe provides. Nice.
So Nsbe, like you said, is almost a networking tool if you use it correctly, right? And so my next question was, what is your position in Nsbe?
I've been in Nsbe for all 4 years of my college. I started off as just a member, and then when I came back from my co-op, I took a position as the financial chair, and currently I am our president of the Nsbe chapter.
Most definitely, man. And I wanted you to say that because that's very important. Because I know the work you do, right, and the effort you put in into Nsbe. It's like you love it. You love helping others, giving back, and you also a book of knowledge yourself, right? And so we all can learn something from other people. What is one of the things that you learned while holding those positions all 4 years of Nsbe, from being a member all the way to the president?
I guess the biggest thing I've learned is everybody's in there for their own reasons, and everybody has their own motivation for what they want to accomplish and what they'll do. So as a member, we were just there to kind of have a good time at the beginning, right? So you want to go, yes, you want to talk to companies, but it's not necessarily at the forefront of everybody's thoughts. A lot of it is, oh, I want to go to the bowling nights. Okay, well, I want to do the engineering activities. As I became on the e-board, then it became, or I started to learn that, okay, well, even those on that executive board are there for different reasons. Some are there because they truly believe and have a vision for the chapter and they want to take it in this direction. Others are there because, you know, they know the person and they want to help to go and put that vision into action. And some people are just there to put it on their resume, and that's fine as well. But as president, what I've definitely learned is I had a vision of what I wanted to do. Like Mark said, I do love to help this chapter, and I want to support it in every way that I can. And being able to gather those who see my vision and want to implement it is definitely a challenge at times, and motivating them for sure. So because it's just a volunteer organization, one thing you've got to realize is just because you are super excited and have all these plans and are willing to spend 4 or 5 hours to accomplish it, doesn't necessarily mean everybody else is. So being able to put in some motivating factors, like we're starting a member of the month so that we're highlighting some of these students who come to our stuff. We're doing the same for members who are on an executive board. So just little pushes. One of my mentors call it low-hanging fruit. So just ways to keep people engaged and really wanting to help support that chapter.
That's a big thing. And I think you kind of already touched on one of the key moments of leadership. By being a leader of a volunteer organization at that, you're not getting paid or something like that. You have to keep your people motivated. And also you have to manage your expectations, because like you said, you had to learn everybody's there for different reasons. All right. So if you were going to, just motivate somebody else to be an effective leader, right? What is one piece of advice that you remember each and every day? Like, man, you replay it. And then if somebody wanted to be an effective leader, I think they should replay this in their mind as well.
So I guess that piece of advice would really be to listen. So like as the leader, as the person with the vision, you know how you want to go. You kind of have an idea of the routes you want to take and the steps you want to do. And you tend to put off others' opinions or others' ideas because you kind of have your own game plan of how it wants to go. So it definitely takes a little willpower and definitely some discipline to say, okay, well, this is what I want to do, but I have supporters, I have an executive board, I have followers who are just as intelligent, who have maybe even better ideas than I originally had. So just taking a step down from, okay, well, I need a lead, to now, okay, well, let me listen to what other people are doing and what their opinions are, and see how we can incorporate that too. Because when you incorporate their ideas, then it helps motivate them as well, because they feel like they're contributing.
Exactly, man. You hitting the nails on the head, because when you have a board of people, a panel of people, a group of people, no matter what position you are still a leader. You might not have a title, but that doesn't strip away leadership. And so that's a good leadership ability that you already possess. So my question is, do you feel like you are an effective leader?
I feel like I'm an effective leader now, but there's definitely things that need improvement. So one of them would be just motivating. I feel like I could do better motivating the students. So we are having some trouble just getting our normal general body students to come out to events, whether it's Nsbe or just things on campus. So as a leader, I really need to be able to understand, okay, well, why aren't they coming out? What are they looking for? And how can I effectively communicate that to the rest of my board so that we can implement those processes to bring our students in, because our Nsbe chapter isn't anything if we don't have any actual Nsbe members who are willing to participate.
Right, and I actually had many conversations with people. They understand people is what make these organizations what they are, and the right people, right? You have to select people who have the drive that you have, and the only way you could do that is really to talk to them, right? Because I tell you all the time, you got to know these people's names, you got to know something about them, know what they like, because if they're under you, they will work a little bit harder for you and with you if you knew a little bit about them. So my question is, are you excited to get up out of Tuskegee?
Yes, I've been here for 4 years. I've got one more left, but the world is big. The world is vast, and Tuskegee's small, and I'm ready to go and just use what I've learned here and go spread it out in the rest of the world.
Most definitely, man. We love to see our own actually come into leadership positions, and a lot of them do come back and talk to us. So the alumni, the alumnus, thank you for coming back and talking to us and providing us scholarship opportunities and also money into our various organizations, such as the veterinarian building. They get some funds a lot, and so does the engineering department, most definitely. So my question is, if you could give somebody advice who's a high schooler thinking about coming to Tuskegee, not an engineer, just any Joe Schmo coming up to Tuskegee, she says, hey, what's one piece of advice you could give me? What would it be?
And you probably hear this a lot, but remember why you're here. You're a student first. So Tuskegee, like we said, it's a family community. There are plenty of events to do. There's plenty of places where you can volunteer, where you can gather leadership positions. There's fraternities and sororities where you can pledge. So there's a lot for you to do, and you can get caught up in everything. But most importantly, you remember that you're here as a student. So your grades are number one. That doesn't mean only stay studying every day, but just remember why you're here. But other than that, have a good time.
Most definitely, man. We had an event called Stroll Like an Alpha, and then that was a very good event. I'm gonna post some clips about that in this video as well. Some of my good friends actually, they won the competition, so that was pretty awesome. You also spoke about having fun, right? There's a saying called, you can't get tricked off the streets. You know what I'm saying? That means don't come here fighting, don't come here doing stuff illegal, don't come here actually forgetting why you're here. So that's fantastic advice. My next question to you is, you being a chemical engineer major, a lot of us know that's a very challenging degree path you took or taking. What is your sleep schedule like?
So it's changed since when I first got here, right? So I do a lot more than just be a chemical engineering student here. So that definitely has an impact on my sleep schedule. But I remember before all the leadership positions, before all the volunteering, it already wasn't great. So, typically I sleep on a good day about 6-7 hours, but on an average day around 4 to 5. And that's just because, as I mentioned earlier, I have a standard that I hold myself to. So in order to make sure I'm making A's in all my classes, I kind of give up sleep to study. So there's been some times where I've spent the night here in Foster, the engineering building, where I was studying, so took a couple power naps and pushed on to get ready for that exam that I knew that I wasn't prepared for. As a chemical engineering student, a lot of our work, especially as you go up in your degree, it takes a long time to complete. So originally it might take you 10 minutes to do a problem, but now it might take you an hour just to get through one problem, and you've got like 6 of them. So it definitely offsets my sleep schedule. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned some very powerful things, like you have to make sure you understand the material, not only for yourself because you're a tutor, and you want to uphold yourself to that standard. So my question to you is, how is your mental health when doing all of that?
So if I'm being completely honest, my mental health does take a dive at times. So whenever it's something hard and it's just, you're not getting it, you spend hours trying to understand and you're still messing up at the simplest things, or you're still not getting the concepts, it does take a toll on your mental health. You do start to feel like, man, well, why am I not getting this? Am I still, able to achieve what I always thought I was going to be able to achieve? But as you do get it, your mental health goes up. So currently, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, my mental health is probably around a 6. And that's just because I've got the stress and the responsibilities from Nsbe tutoring and being a student. But it all depends on you. I would just say make sure you're taking breaks. You know, as we've learned through this pandemic, mental health is key to succeeding. So sometimes you do need to step away from, you know, an assignment, maybe not for a whole day, but maybe take an hour to go do something that'll calm your mind. And then that way you're making sure that your mental health is still, you know, in a good place.
Nice, man. So my last question is for you. What is your ultimate goal in life?
Ooh, my ultimate goal in life. So that's really to build generational wealth. So a lot of the steps, or actually all the steps I take in life is really towards that goal. I got raised in a pretty good 2-parent household. My parents make pretty good money, and I've definitely noticed the benefits of that. So when your parents do good, you know, as a child, you have a leg up against some other people. And I definitely want my legacy, you know, my children to also be able to have that leg up so that all their opportunities are unlocked, right? So there's no doors that they gotta figure out, okay, well, I can't get through this just because I didn't have this growing up. So generational wealth is gonna be a big part. And I just wanna leave a mark on this world. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, Omari Jones is the headline because he solved global warming. But it could just be, you know, those who knew me well are like, oh yeah, I remember Omari. He did this, this, and this. Maybe not for, you know, the state of Texas, but just for the community.
Awesome. Like I said, that was my last question, Omari. In closing, I just want to say I appreciate you. I do see the extraordinary work you're doing around Tuskegee. Like you just said, it's so much. Sometimes it's even hurting yourself and your own mental health, and you still find ways to woosah and push through it. Without further ado, man, I just want to give you your flowers, and I definitely catch you next time on the channel.
Thank you for having me here.